I think it's a piece of life that everyone can connect to in every different level with all of these characters. And you live and breathe with them. And even in the end, you continue to live and breathe with them as the show essentially is over, but they continue to exist and live on in their lives. And I think that is impactful.
Oh my goodness, I'm such a big fan. I have so much that I'd love to ask you.
Yes, please. I love talking about it. I mean, it's one of the, I guess, my one of my proudest things I've ever been a part of. So please fire away.
Well, to start off, I mean, you came off of doing like over 100 episodes of a network TV show, Chicago,
Yes.
and then you jumped into the 6 episode streaming series.
Yeah.
What was that transition like?
It was interesting. I feel like it was for me, a natural progression. I think something to be a part of something so elevated as far as Expats is concerned, and it being a limited series that's just 6 episodes and basically a 6.5 hour movie is something that, I was really yearning for. And I think it came at the right place at the right time. And I felt very ready. I think in the building of our career, I feel like you dream about these particular situations. And I did the network television show for a very long time. And I think I was ready to do other things and really wanting to, I guess, elevate myself into a particular arena that most of the industry hasn't quite seen me in, and really, I guess, in a sense, try to prove myself worthy to be in that arena.
It's such a heavy role. I mean, you are playing a character who's dealing with this insurmountable loss, of a child. What kind of things did you do to get into Clark's headspace?
Wow, a lot. I think at first you read this script and try to maintain the essence of the character while building upon everything that has been beautifully written with these amazing writers and of course Lulu Wang at the helm. But then I think you really kind of dig deeper inside. So, I'm a father myself, and that relatability to Clark was instantaneous. And for a tragedy like this to happen to anybody, even your worst enemy, would be your worst nightmare. So that kind of rooted me in that sense too. And very similar to Clark, I'm a bad joke telling father in every step of the way. And I think that's what Clark is. He enjoys his family and he enjoys, having fun and goofing off and being the caretaker to this situation. And I think that's why after that had everything that had transpired, that's why he takes it upon himself to really try to hold things together. And there's this huge amount of grief and guilt because it's because of his job that they're there in the first place. So all of these, I guess, 5 stages of grief that you experience, I really tried to delve into all of those, right? And I think the luxury of having 6 episodes is for myself really kind of pinpointing certain ones that I wanted to live in as far as the 5 stages were concerned. But of course, it all blends together in certain situations as far as the story is told. But it was an absolute gift to really lose yourself into everything that the show allowed you to. And that was a transformation for me.
Well, yeah, on that same note, I mean, Clark has to be a pillar of support for his wife, and he also has to take on more of the parenting because Margaret is so consumed by everything that happened. I would love your thoughts on how he's able to handle all this, especially because he is grieving himself.
With Clark, I think it's his focus is to try to hold everything together. And if Margaret was spiraling, he would have to definitely pull on the other side to balance things out. And I think his train of thought is as long as I can hold my family unit together, we'll be okay. And I think in any wonderful, loving relationship, that is an unwritten rule amongst each other. And though they were being pulled apart, I don't think there was anywhere within the relationship that felt false, that they would somehow split. I think it was a continuation of fight and struggle to maintain this sense of normalcy within one another and to stay together. And I think especially when you're dealing with children, I think that as far as a father is the responsibility. I think you are the caretaker, you are the protector per se. And him leaning to try to hold things together was just an extension of his own instincts as a father.
When Margaret said that she had to stay in Hong Kong, Clarke really didn't fight her too much on it. I was curious, do you think that he maybe had already suspected that she wasn't going to be able to get on the plane?
I think there were inklings. I think there was definitely hope that she would get on the plane. Um, I absolutely know that there was an understanding for sure, especially in that last moment. I definitely feel like though they're walking separate paths, that they still remain and maintain together, right? I think it's very brave of her to stop and stay and say that I'm staying. And on the other end, very brave of Clarke to say, you stay, do what you need to do for the family. I'm going to go take care of the other kids for the family. And I think that's how strong that relationship really was.
Do you think that there is any part of Clarke that wanted to stay as well, or he was ready to get back to
I
America?
think there will always be a sense of Clarke that wants to stay. I feel like, gosh, living with Clarke for so long, I still kind of feel those feelings, right? While watching the series and catching certain episodes or watching it through kind of in a binge watching platform. I think that is the beauty of our show. I think the beauty of our show is life. I think that not everything is so cut and dry and it's not wrapped up in a bow. I don't think that's what life is. I think things happen, circumstances happen, and you live with them, you grow with them, you fall with them. But it is just life, and you continue to try to exist in the best way that you can. And that's what I love about our show. And even in the ending, right? It's not over. It still lives with you. The show continues to live with you. And I think for Clarke and Margaret, um, they're continuing to live and live on. And especially for Clarke, to answer your question, yes, his yearning to find Clarke and wanting to be back in Hong Kong absolutely lives on.
Well, you kind of just answered this already, but I was actually going to ask you about that ending, if you would have preferred some type of closure or if you liked that it was left open-ended, kind of like you said.
I love that it's left open ended. I do. I think art imitates life in a sense, but we rarely see that happening in television, especially in that medium. I think everyone somehow enjoys that it's this closure for yourselves as far as a television show is concerned. But that's not real life. There's not always closure. And I think the way that Lulu created this show is her genius. I think it's a piece of life that everyone can connect to in every different level with all of these characters. And you live and breathe with them. And even in the end, you continue to live and breathe with them as the show essentially is over, but they continue to exist and live on in their lives. And I think that is impactful. I think it's that, I guess you can call it that water cooler moment, but we want this show to live with you. And it really does. And for an ending to be any different, it just wouldn't have that same impact.
Do you have any personal theories then on what happened to Gus? Do you believe that he is still alive? Or
Is it me or is it Clarke? Is it both?
I would say it's both.
I think if Clarke had a particular wish, he would want his wife back. He would want them to be together, whatever that means. I think in the most hopeful of ways, Margaret finds Gus somehow, some way, and he's returned home and the family is together, right? That's like the perfect ultimate situation. Um, I think Clarke is realistic in that sense too, yet hopeful that somehow Margaret would find closure and they would all be back as a family unit together with or without Gus. That's the hope. I think I think myself as just an audience member living through kind of their journey. Um, and as far as the storyteller is concerned, I think she does find Gus, but I think it's way later. Somehow, like they identify him or they identify each other, and maybe it's 8 years later, 10 years later, and he's a teenager, And I think that would be a really cool story.
From what I had seen, I know that there's no current plans for season two, but kind of speaking on that, are there any aspects of the story that you'd like to see expanded upon maybe in the future?
Sure. Just as far as a fan now and an audience member, yeah, absolutely. I think you live with these characters for so long. You want to see what happens at the end, whatever the end may be. I think I shouldn't even say end. I think you want to continue their journey with them. You want to know where Hillary goes. You want to know what happens to Jiyoung and her baby, right? You want to know if Hillary and David like continue on or not, or get back together or whatever it is. And of course, you want to know if Margaret ever finds Gus or how Clarke is dealing with his kids back at home. Um, I think that again, that's the beauty of the show. You want all of those things, and such is life. I think you have to continue to live your life and your journey, wanting things that don't necessarily have the answers to.
Well, lastly, now that Expats is out, are there any other upcoming projects you have? Anything that you're looking forward to doing?
Yes, there are. I can't say what they are at the moment. I'm not sure when this will be released, so maybe we can, I guess, feed it to you once our announcement is released. But yes, I'm a part of another project currently filming that I'm truly excited about, and um, the project, I guess I'll just say it's going to be a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, yeah, looking forward to finding out more about it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have for you. Thanks so much again for taking the time to talk to me, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully talk to you again soon.